So, you know how people always say measure twice, cut once. Yeah, well, today we're going to talk about some incredibly smart people who apparently never heard that phrase. Or if they did, they just didn't care. Because here's the thing, the biggest, most expensive, most catastrophic failures in history, they weren't caused by people who didn't know what they were doing. They were caused by people who were so confident they knew what they were doing that they forgot to check the most basic stuff. And the craziest part? Every single one of these disasters could have been prevented if just one person had asked, hey, are we sure about this? But they didn't, so let's talk about it. Story 1. The $125 million space typo. Alright, let's start with NASA in 1999. NASA, by the way, is literally full of rocket scientists. Like, that's not even a joke. These are the smartest people on the planet. They're launching the Mars Climate Orbiter, a $125 million spacecraft designed to study Mars' atmosphere and weather. This thing took years to build. Hundreds of engineers worked on it. Everything was checked, double-checked, triple-checked. This was going to be perfect. And it was perfect. Until it wasn't. September 23, 1999, the orbiter approaches Mars. Mission Control is getting ready to celebrate. And then nothing. Radio silence. The spacecraft just disappeared. So what happened? Did it get hit by space debris? Did the engine fail? Alien attack maybe? No. It was so much dumber than that. One team was using metric units, newtons, and another team was using imperial units, pound force. That's it. That's the whole story. The navigation software was getting thrust data in the wrong units. So the orbiter thought it was flying at the correct altitude when it was actually flying way too low. It entered Mars' atmosphere going, this is fine, and immediately turned into a very expensive fireball. $125 million. 9 months of travel. Years of work. All gone because apparently nobody thought to have a conversation that went like, hey Bob, you're using newtons, right? Actually Steve, I'm using pound force. What? And here's the kicker. This wasn't even a new problem. Engineers have been mixing up units for centuries. There's literally a saying about it. But somehow, in a project involving hundreds of people and millions of dollars, not a single person caught it. The investigation report literally said the error was failure to use metric units in the coding of a ground software file. That's the most expensive typo in history. I've made typos before, but at least mine only ruined my group chat, not a Mars mission. So what's the lesson here? I guess it's that you can be the smartest person in the room, working with other smart people, on the most advanced technology humanity has ever created, and still forget to check if everyone's using the same measuring system. Story 2. The bridge that couldn't stop dancing. Alright, next up, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. Now, if you've never heard of this bridge, just note that it had one of the most spectacular failures in engineering history. And by spectacular, I mean there's video footage, and it's wild. So it's 1940, and they're building this bridge in Washington State. And the engineers? They wanted it to be beautiful, sleek, modern, elegant. Like, forget those chunky old bridges with all-tier support beams and ugly trusses. This bridge was gonna be thin and graceful. It opens in July 1940, and immediately people notice something weird. The bridge moves a lot. Like when you drive on it, the whole thing starts gently swaying and rolling. They literally nicknamed it Galloping Journey because driving on it felt like riding a horse. Now, most people would think, hey, maybe a bridge that moves this much is bad, but the engineers were like, nah, it's fine. That's just how thin elegant bridges work. Spoiler alert, it was not fine. November 7th, 1940, just 4 months after opening, there's a windstorm. Not even a particularly strong one, just like 40 miles per hour winds, and the bridge starts to move. But this time, it doesn't just sway, it starts twisting, like violently contorting in ways bridges absolutely should not move. There's actually video footage of this, and it's genuinely terrifying. The bridge is literally writhing like a snake. Cars are sliding around. One guy abandoned his car and his dog in it because it was too scary to go back. The dog bit him when he tried to rescue it. By the way, the dog did not survive. And that's genuinely the saddest part of this story. And then, after hours of this, the bridge just gives up. It tears itself apart and collapses into the water below. The only casualty was the dog, which is tragic. But imagine if this had happened during rush hour. So what went wrong? Well, the engineers designed a bridge that looked cool, but completely ignored something called aeroelastic flutter. Basically, when wind hits certain shapes, it can create a feedback loop that makes the structure oscillate more and more until it destroys itself. Did the engineers know about aeroelastic flutter? Yes, it was already well documented. Did they account for it? No, because they were too focused on making the bridge pretty and thin. They prioritized aesthetics over physics, which is like the exact opposite of what you should do when building a bridge. The bridge became a case study in what not to do. Every engineering student learns about galloping journey now, and modern bridges, they're built with wind testing and all sorts of safety features. But it took a bridge literally dancing itself to death for engineers to learn that lesson. Story 3. When Isaac Newton lost his shirt. Last story. This one's my favorite because it proves that even literal geniuses can make incredibly dumb decisions when money is involved. Let's talk about the South Sea Bubble. So it's 1720 in England, and there's this company called the South Sea Company. They claim that they had exclusive trading rights with South America and were gonna make everyone rich. Thus the price starts going up, and up, and up, and everyone wants it. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. From poor people to rich people, to literally the smartest man alive at the time, Sir Isaac Newton, the guy who invented calculus, discovered gravity, and basically laid the foundation for modern physics. Yeah, that guy. Now, Newton wasn't stupid. Early on, he saw the stock was overvalued and sold his shares, making a nice profit. But then, the stock kept going up, and his friends were getting rich. And he started thinking, wait, am I missing out? So he bought back in. At the top of the market, he invested like £20,000, which in today's money is a lot. We're talking millions. And then, surprise, surprise, the bubble burst. That company had no real business. It was basically a pyramid scheme. The stock crashed. Newton lost almost everything. And he was so upset about it that he refused to ever discuss Itagon. He famously said, I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people, which is basically a fancy 1700s way of saying I can't believe I fell for that. But here's the thing, Newton wasn't alone. Thousands of people lost everything. The British economy took a massive hit. It took years to recover, all because people saw a line going up and decided that meant it would keep going up forever. The South Sea Bubble basically proved that intelligence doesn't protect you from greed. You can be smart enough to invent calculus and still fall for a get-rich-quick scheme if everyone around you is doing it. FOMO is a powerful drug, apparently, and honestly, we haven't learned that much. Every few decades there's a new bubble. Dot-com bubble, housing bubble, crypto. We just keep doing it, because apparently, the only thing humans love more than making money is losing money in the dumbest way possible. Conclusion. So what did we learn today? Well, a $125 million spacecraft died because of a unique conversion error. A bridge collapsed because it looked too pretty. And Isaac Newton lost his fortune because he had FOMO. And honestly, the crazy thing is that all of these could have been prevented. Like, so easily, if just stone person on the Mars mission had said, hey, let's make sure we're all using the same units. iPhone engineer on the bridge project had said maybe we should test this in a wind tunnel. If any of Newton's friends had said, bro, this is obviously a scam. But they didn't, because sometimes the smartest people make the dumbest mistakes. Not because they're incompetent, but because they're so confident in their own expertise that they forget to check the basics. It's like when you're taking a test and you get the hard questions right, but fail because you made a simple addition error. Except instead of failing a test, you lose $125 million or crash a bridge or destroy the economy. So, slightly higher stakes. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video about spectacular failures, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 1,000 and apparently 99% of you watching aren't subscribed yet, which is wild. Also, drop a comment and tell me, what do you think is the biggest preventable mistake in history, or what's the dumbest mistake you've made? Because let's be honest, we all make mistakes. Most of us just aren't lucky enough to have ours cost millions of dollars and make it into history books. Thanks for watching, and remember, always check your units.